Good morning. Today I'm talking to Charlie Gallagher about his new book. Good morning, Charlie. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Donna. My name is Charlie Gallagher, and I'm the writer of crime thrillers. I think The Friend that you mentioned there is my 15th book, so quite a few in now, but it's my first with Avon, so first with a new publisher. Previously, the previous 14 were published with Joffy Books. I had a wonderful experience with them, and so far it's been a wonderful experience with Avon. The Friend comes out on the 1st of April, and I have conveniently a copy there to hold up. Everyone seems to do that, so let's do that. Just to hold it up. It's a lovely thing. It stays on my pillow every night, so I'm very proud of it. Yeah, so I've been writing seriously for about 5 or 6 years, really. And prior to writing full time, which has been just over 18 months now, I was a police officer for 13 years, and obviously those the experiences from that career very much bleed into the fiction I write now. So that's me.
I've read The Friend and it was amazing, but it's as far away from being a policeman, I would think, as you could get. So what made you come up with the idea for that?
Yeah, I've had quite a lot. Thank you, firstly, for saying it's lovely. Even if you don't mean it. I've had some feedback that it's quite different to the standard police procedurals because it follows potentially the victims a little bit more. The point of view is not necessarily with the police the whole way through. It wasn't something that I did deliberately. The sort of central idea, or where I started, was of someone with a shotgun in their mouth, tied up in a chair, and with someone being come in and convinced to pull the trigger. And I guess it's not really a policing idea. But it seemed a bit different, and I sort of worked backwards from there. I'm not the sort of writer that plans these things out. So the story that kind of finishes The Friend is me trying to muddle through from there, I think.
The story is quite intricate and all linked. How did you manage to keep on top of it?
It's difficult. That is kind of my style, I think. Most of my books have been, in fact, all of them have had different stories going on at the same time that kind of come together, normally towards the end, but not always. It's something I enjoy doing. It's like putting a puzzle together, really. Yeah, it's just something I've always done. It is difficult. It does mean, because I don't plan it out beforehand, it does mean a lot of reading it back through and a lot of edits. And the first draft is an absolute mess. I mean, I was talking to a fellow author, and my style is very much like squeezing out a big tube of toothpaste because I'm really excited and I get toothpaste everywhere. And then I come to the end and I have to try and get it all back in again. That's pretty much my way of describing how I work. And it's done all right for me so far. I make a massive mess and then try and make it look semblance of tidy. I wouldn't recommend it as a method. If anyone's looking for writing tips, don't do that. But it works for me. So.
Well, you're on your 15th book, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah, we're doing something wrong badly. I'm not sure which it is.
And do you want to tell everyone a little bit more about The Friend?
Yes, it's not just someone sat in a seat with a shotgun in their mouth. It is two families. Both have been rocked by different types of trauma, and neither family have had answers from the police as to who was responsible for causing them their pain. And they're both separate from each other. They're both approached by someone who claims to be a friend and gives them an opportunity to find their own form of justice. And it might be their own opportunity. So the question asked on the back of the cover is what would you do? Would you take that opportunity? And of course, you'll have to read the book to find out if they take the opportunity and what happens when they do. The first third of the book is kind of set up with that. And then the last is a bit more of a police-led narrative where the police are then trying to find who is committing crimes, murders, of course, because it's a crime thriller. And then, yeah, as you say, hopefully it comes together at the end, and there's a few twists and turns along the way. I'm very proud of it, and the feedback so far has been very positive, which is always lovely. And if anyone is watching that has taken the time to review, thanks so much, because we did improve on those. It means everything.
Even Leslie Lloyd gave you a 5-star, and she doesn't give 5 stars to anyone. So that's when you know
I know. And that's the second time. I don't want to boast about it, but she gave me a 5-star for Deadly Houses, which was the last Maddie Ives book. And yeah, she made me very aware at the time as to how rare that is. So I was in no doubt whatsoever. So for another 5-star from Leslie, there are certain people actually that you look out for their reviews, because you know they've either followed you from the start, so they're kind of a good yardstick if you're still getting 5-star reviews, or if you're getting worse, you know. And Leslie, I think, is one of those you kind of look out for, because I know how fussy she is. So that was brilliant. That was quite a shot in the arm.
yeah, she cracks me up. She's brilliant.
Very to the point, isn't she? I like that. You know where you stand.
Yes, but she's really supportive of me as well. So yeah, she's great.
She knows the stuff. I get that with a lot of people that read books, and they give feedback, and you can see that they know their books, you know. And I don't necessarily. I mean, I read thrillers like everyone else, and obviously I was a police officer, and I think the police officer is what gives me a little bit of a unique selling point, if you will. But I don't necessarily know a good thriller. So, you know, sometimes you need those people like Leslie, who does know a good thriller, knows a good book, and knows what they like, to make sure that you're delivering that, if that makes sense. Yeah. So you desperately need those people.
Yeah. So this is a standalone, isn't it? So are you gonna start a new series, or are you planning on carrying it?
It's not actually. It's the first book in a series. Joel Norris is going to continue along with his skipper, Lucy Rose. They're going to continue. The second book's done, and I've started the third. This week, actually, I'm launching number 1, editing number 2, and writing number 3. So I don't quite know where I am. So I'm basically making a mess everywhere, which is, you know, not a bad thing. Because depending on how I'm feeling, the editing bit is tough. So, you know, you can't do that all day. I'll spend a couple of hours, 3 or 4 hours, doing a lot of work though in that time, because you're really quite focused. And then I'll probably come away and maybe schedule some emails for the 1st of April, but more likely write the third one, because that's a little bit easier at this stage, because it's the first draft. So I'm at that excitable, making a mess puppy stage that I enjoy so much. So, you know, that's going to be at least 3 books, but I would expect it to go on and be 6 or 7 like the previous series. And I really like the 2 characters, Joel and Lucy Rose. I think you're going to see them develop a lot more. Already book 2 is a bit more Lucy Rose background and a bit more about her. She's got a lovely side story, I think, so I'm looking forward to people seeing
that. Which of your series characters have been your favourite so far?
Well, the Maddie Ives and Harry Blaker series was before this one, and I think that one would go down. I miss them too. I'll certainly go back to them. My dog's having a coughing fit in the background, if you can hear that. Listen. So I really liked them, but I liked that series because there was quite a decent ensemble. So you've got a few bit part characters, the likes of a fellow called Vince, who was a bit of a thug and a bit dopey, but absolutely lovable. He was like a character that continued throughout. And there's a few of those, and I think that's what makes a series. You know, you'll have the central characters, but then also you'll have your other characters that kind of come in when they're needed, if that makes sense, to keep pushing the story on. So I really like that. But then there's George Elms, of course. It was my first series. He will always have a special place in my heart because it was my first series, for one, but also because he's kind of the copper that everyone wants to be. You know, he's the one that doesn't mind putting a brick through someone's window if it means they'll talk to him. Type cop. So I think at the time I was living out a bit of a fantasy for him, of the sort of cop that I wanted to be, because I was very much a police officer. So it's difficult to say, really. I think Joel Norris, who is in The Friends, and Lucy could go on to be favourites. And I've introduced another couple of characters in the second book who I love very much. So we'll see.
Which series would you most like to be a character in yourself?
What a great question. I mean, obviously, I'd like to be George Elms because, I mean, he couldn't care less. He wanted to speak to a witness and did put a brick through their window. So I guess maybe George would be a good shout, actually. But in The Friend, the first in the series, Joel Norris, as I keep mentioning, but he is an ex TAC team sergeant or tactical support group, TSG. Every police force calls them something different. And they are the people out doing drugs warrants and murder searches and things like that, and arresting the more dangerous criminals. And he's pulled over to be a murder detective, which is a very different role and a very different set of skills. And I was on a TSG for 8 years whilst I was in the police, and that was kind of my favourite role. And at that time, and then I went on to be a detective. So it's not based on me, don't get me wrong, but I think that's probably the role that I could play easiest. But I'm no actor. That'll never happen.
And if you were only allowed to choose one of your series to be made into a TV programme, which one?
Well, obviously, this one's brand. If there were a series, it would probably be the Maddie Ives series at the moment, just because I know the stories very well. There were 6 of them, and I think they all lend themselves well to that. But this will be a similar style. It will be lots of different point of views. I always write from a lot of different point of view. So that lends itself well, I think, to being dramatised, because obviously you've got that. But basically, a TV programme is generally lots of different points of view. So I think this one would suit as well. I mean, if someone came to me with any of them, I don't think I'd turn them down. I think I'd be quite happy. But I think Maddie and Harry for now, just because that's probably the most developed series that I've got out there.
And any ideas in your head of who you'd like to play them?
Those 2? Oh, goodness. No, in a word. I really like Jodie Comer. So she could be...
What, just in general, or...?
No, well, yeah, she seems like a lovely girl, but certainly is. She could be fantastic as either Maddie Ives or as Lucy Rose in the new ones. No trouble at all, just because she's fantastic, and I think she has that sort of air about her when she's on the screen. You know, whatever she's doing, you kind of believe her. She is that person. For the male leads, I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest. My wife thinks Tom Hardy for Joel Norris. But I don't know who that is, and I think she went a bit glazed eyes when she said it, so I think that's just someone she fancies. Is that right? Is he? Yeah, okay, fine. We'll try and keep him away, because I don't want her busting in on set just to meet him, you know. Unbelievable. So yeah, I don't really know. I'm not very good with actors' names, to be honest with you. I'll end up just saying that bloke from that TV show, and none of us will know what I mean. So it would be a lovely problem to have, and luckily it wouldn't be my problem. It'd be, the app says it's free option. I'm an expert.
Yeah. So are you considering writing any standalones?
Yes. At the moment, I've got my head into this series, and that's kind of the way I write series is just one after the other, just because you get used to the characters and stories and the things you want to bring through. But I have got plans around a psychological thriller in the future, which I don't know what I'll do with that, as to whether it will be a Charlie Gallagher book or another name, if it will be with Avon or someone else. I'm not sure yet. But that's certainly something that I've got an idea for. I'm quite excited about. I'm very easily excited, but whether anything comes of it or not is another thing. And I know we talked before as well about a kids' book. I'm still, that's whether that's a standalone or that goes on to be a series, I don't know. But again, that's something I'm also working on whilst launching number 1, editing number 2, writing number 3, and writing about pigeons and Aiden still. So I'm keeping busy.
Yeah, Leslie specifically wanted me to ask you about how that was going.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going very well. It's 35,000 words. I reckon about halfway. Me and my daughter were reading last night the last chapter. It brings us up to date. So now we're going to talk about ideas. And she's 9, so most of them involve poo, wee, snot, or any other bodily function. All our ideas around that. So I have to kind of filter. There will be some of that in there because there has to be, because she's so insistent. But yeah, that's not really a story, is it? So we'll have to try and work out a story as well. It's going very well, and it's really enjoyable, which is half the battle, you know. That's how I know it will be finished, because we're enjoying doing it. And like I said to you before, you spend the morning writing about horrible murders and very upset victims and upset witnesses and things, and then you can spend the afternoon writing about flatulent aliens. It's just a bit of a yin and yang type situation, and it works well. It's good fun.
Yeah, I heard you reading it for, was it UK Crime Book Club, and the first few chapters, yeah, and I thought it was great as well. But I don't know if that shows more about my mentality, but it was funny.
Oh, it's very kind of you. Well, no, I mean, me and the daughter, we read kids' books, obviously that published by Established, and I'm a massive fan of Roald Dahl, and I still read his stuff now. It's brilliant, absolutely love it. And I think, I never want to lose that. I think the time when I'm reading, the Twix or the BFG, and I'm not enjoying it, I think I'm too old. That's it. It's all over.
Yeah, I was watching Matilda yesterday, so I totally understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. The films are great too. Yeah, quite.
What's your biggest fear, and would you ever write about it?
My biggest fear? Oh goodness! I mean, spiders? Can I say that? Is that big enough? It's not really, is it? Biggest fear for me. I mentioned the kids there. Obviously, I've got two daughters, 7 and 9. If something happens to my family, 100%, and it was a big reason why my wife was a police officer. She was 10 years as a police officer. And when the kids come along, we did struggle with shifts and childcare. But another reason for her deciding to jack the job in was because of the dangers associated with it. And then I wasn't too long to follow. I mean, I had another opportunity to go for the writing, and that was the reason. There was kind of that consideration behind it as well. It's something happening to the kids or to one of us, really, massively. And I write about that all the time. And I think because I'm so terrified of it, it does resonate with me, and that's why I write about it. And I can write about it from a place of real authenticity, because I can not imagine, that's not the right word, but you can kind of picture what it might be like to have that happen to your family.
Yeah. And what about spiders?
Spiders, yeah. I don't know. I'll try and incorporate a spider scene. You'll see it when it comes somehow. I'm all right with spiders as long as they're outside, or I can't see them, or I pretend they don't exist. But I'm fine with them. Absolutely fine.
So, is your wife very much the man of the house when it comes to dealing with spiders?
She's the man of the house when it comes to everything. 100%. No, she can do the glass thing, with the thing with the glass and a bit of cards. But that just makes them bigger. Have you ever noticed that? When you put a glass over them, they get bigger because I'm out, I'm off. Honestly, I'll go out for a run. Not always come back. So yeah, she's very much the man of the house.
If you were able to spend a day with any author alive or dead, who would you like to spend a day with?
Oh, I mean, Roald Dahl would jump out at me 100%, just because, some of his stuff's absolutely magical and still holds up today. Some of the messages in there about being nice to people and about how different doesn't matter, and all these sort of themes that are hidden away lovely, very cleverly in his dialogue and his stories, and the fact that you may be born an orphan and you haven't got the opportunities that some have, and it doesn't matter, you can still go on and meet the Queen and be anything you want. These are all fantastic things, and I think Roald Dahl, 100%. Beyond that, I admire anyone that finishes a book. It's an incredible thing to do. I'm not just saying that because I'm an author, but because I'm not quite sure how I am. I just make a mess and tidy it up. But anyone who's capable of writing words, and I do talk to a lot of authors. I did when I was with Joffrey. I know all those guys very, very well. And with Avon, when we get the chance to meet physically, obviously once lockdown's over, I'm quite looking forward to meeting all those guys as well, just to talk about writing stories, because you can always learn. Everybody works differently. That's the strange thing about writing. There's no way that you can sit down and think, right, this is how you write a good book, which doesn't exist, which is brilliant at the same time, So we're all very, very different, and we all come up with very different things. So anything, really. That doesn't answer the question very well, does it?
Yeah. Um, and what's your biggest goal being an author?
Blimey. The aim was always, the dream, I should say, was to write full time. That was it. Once I could get there, that's the dream for me. And touch wood, I'm writing full time now and have been for 18 months, as I said. So the dream now is to stay writing full time, being able to do that. And obviously that's down to sales, of course. I mean, it's an industry after all, and earning royalties that mean that I can do so. So the goals do move as now I'm at the point where I'm writing full time. Clearly, I'm looking at establishing myself at Avon. On April the 1st with my first book with them, and they're obviously a major publisher as part of HarperCollins. So to establish myself with them, and basically just to gain more and more of a readership, really, to get and to have decent feedback as I do, to get a reputation as being a decent writer, to be in a sort of a go-to crime writer. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think you're well on the way to that, so it's cool.
Well, that's very kind. Let's hope so. Just enough to make a living. That's it. I mean, the whole thing's about TV deals and movies and all sorts of things that can come from books. Fantastic. I love that, of course. But for me, what I found, and it's a lovely lesson actually, is when you write good stories, good things happen. And all I've done is kept my head down. I've written 15 books now, and said I think they're good stories. The feedback's been relatively strong throughout, which has been lovely. And you never know. I sat down as a hobby 5 or 6 years ago, and it's changed my life. So you never know what's going to end up.
What do you do when you're not writing?
There's a time when I'm not writing. It's quite long hours. I do quite. The problem is, the wife will moan, is that even when we're sat watching something, we sat watching a drama or something, and it will give me an idea, and I'm off. I'm sat and I'm writing notes on it. She gets to write them, especially if she's in a TV program as well. So when I'm not writing, I like going out on my bike, push bike. I like walking the dog and running and exercise, because I miss out on that now. Whereas when I was working for a living in the police and on my feet all day, there was obviously quite a physical side to that. We used to meet in the gym before a shift and things, and now I just sit at a desk moaning and drinking lots of coffee. So it's not very good for the body. And I'm 40 in a couple of weeks. Don't say me on that. So it's the time I need to be staying active, really. So I enjoy all that.
Blimey, are you? Is that after lockdown? Can you do anything to celebrate, or are we still?
Yes, I'm very lucky. I think it's the 12th, isn't it, that things are relaxed, and my birthday is the 16th. So I'll be able to sit outside a pub and remember the days when I used to be able to go inside. Yeah. So I can have a beer in a pub garden, so that'd be fun. I'll take that.
Are you going to have lots of beers and sulk, as most men do when they get older?
No, I'm quite comfortable with it. I've had this. Whenever people talk to me about 40, they sort of look at me like I've been diagnosed with an illness. They're all like, oh, I'm really sorry. It's not all over. There's still hope. But, I'm 40, I'm fine. And I think getting old is fine as long as you kind of are where you want to be. Does that make sense? And, I've got my dream job, and I've got a lovely family, and I've got a big fat ginger cat who annoys me every day. What more could I want? 40 is fine to me. If in 10 years' time the wife's kicked me out because of my fear of spiders, and I'm living in a shed and the writing's gone down the drain, then I'll probably have the ump. But for now, I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm only 2 years behind you, so hopefully in 2 years' time you don't actually say actually it's horrible.
Well, there you are, and you yourself, you're studying a million things at once. You're writing books. You're working for a press to releasing books. You're just as busy as you should be. I think as long as you're doing what you want to be doing at the age that you are, it's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, and we're both mentally children still, so it's fine.
100%.
Yeah, it's all good. Who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh goodness. Celebrity crush. Oh, is the wife going to watch this? Well, she knows, actually, because she always takes the mickey out of me. It's Louise. she was nerding then. I think she's read now. Or is she divorced now? Oh, she's back on the market, isn't she? I think she's divorced. So it was Louise. She was in a band called Eternal. And I would have been a 15, 16-year-old boy with a subscription to FHM, or loaded, whichever one it was. And I think she was on the front of that a lot. So, yeah, I guess that was it, yeah. Blimey.
That's taking you back, yeah.
Us?
Yeah, I think she's divorced, isn't she now?
Yeah, she's... And I put a shirt on. Hey, it's the first time I've had a shirt on since lockdown. It's like a whole year. If she's watching, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's totally her thing. I'm sure she watches them all.
Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she? Maybe she's a massive crime thriller fan.
Yeah, I'll tag her when I post it on Twitter or something. I wouldn't even know. What superhero power would you choose if you could have one?
Superhero power. Well, that is good. I mean, flying would be good, wouldn't it? I mean, it wouldn't be any good at the moment because you're not allowed out your own town. So that'd be a bit boring. You just have to hover above your own house. So that'd be a bit boring.
If you flew above the clouds, then they wouldn't know.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, fly would be pretty good. I think I'd choose that one. Being able to read people, that's not a bad thing, especially being married. You know what you've done wrong. Is that a superpower? It feels like a superpower. I think I'd have that one. But no, I think fly. Yeah.
That's just being a woman. We know. In men, you've got no chance.
Yeah. No, I don't feel like I've got a chance.
And on that subject, what would those closest to you say your worst habits are?
Oh, God. Well, the wife I mentioned before about being quite easily distracted. I think that is putting it mildly. I think she's tired of the getting up in the middle of the night and putting the light on where I'm making notes and bursting out the shower and not worried about getting dressed and writing notes and stop pulling the car over and writing notes. I think those are terrible habits, and I totally understand that I'm probably a nightmare to live with at times. And I could be quite moody as well around about launch times. You know, when you finish a book and you send it off, or it gets launched, and within 4 minutes, no one said anything. So I'm like, that's it, it's rubbish. It's an absolute flop, it's failure. I'm a nightmare around about launch time, and I think I reckon everyone's probably the same. But yeah, I think the probably worst habit is the fact that I'm pretty obsessed with it all, really. Which is not too bad, is it? I mean, there's loads of other things. If she was here, it would be a list. I'm glad she's not. It'd just be 40 minutes of her listing stuff. So I'm quite glad she's not here.
Yeah, I do like asking that question when people's partners are there, because usually someone's shouting from them somewhere else off screen, an extra thing or two that they've forgotten.
Yeah, I'd probably learn a few more that I wasn't even aware of.
If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you want with you?
Oats. No, if I was with 3 things, I've got to stay there, obviously. Can I choose Netflix?
Yeah.
Just as, entertainment. Probably, again, books in general, that wouldn't really work, would it? I mean, obviously a notepad and pen, then it would have to be, because I'm a nightmare. I don't like being, if I get too far away from a notepad and pen, or my phone I use a lot to make notes on as well, I'd probably, I don't know, I'd start writing in the sand, like a proper madman. Yeah, so probably that. A bit of entertainment and notepad and pen.
One of my favourite answers to that question was a luxury hotel.
That's not a bad idea. I didn't think of that, did I? I'm just sat in the middle of a beach with a notepad. I could have had anything.
Yeah, exactly. See, you need to think outside the box.
Do, yeah. Well, then maybe that's a reflection on, I don't need much. I'm quite a simple fella. Notepad and pen, I'm happy.
And Netflix.
So, yes.
And what are your favourite TV shows and music?
Music's very easy. I'm a big Oasis fan, which is where the Gallagher comes from. in the Charlie Gallagher pseudonym. But Britpop in the 90s, when I was growing up, if that's the right word, I don't think I ever did, but anything around about there, I like all that sort of guitar music, all the Britpop and indie stuff, and some of the modern day stuff. I'm not totally 40 yet.
Not quite.
I'm still with kids, definitely. The other one, sorry, TV shows. Oh, TV shows. We've watched a lot recently. I don't tend to watch too much sort of the crime. You know, like everyone's going crazy over Line of Duty. I've never seen past the first. I watched the first 3 or 4, and it was too much like being at work. So we both gave up on that. I really like The Boys actually, which is on Prime, and it's like a zero. And I'm not normally into the superhero type things, but it's like superheroes gone a bit bad. It's brilliant. It's like totally different to anything I've ever seen before. So I really like that. What else did we watch recently? Ted Lasso. That was fantastic. Like a real feel-good comedy. I think during lockdown, we've kind of sought out a bit lighter sort of entertainment to watch, you know, so little stuff like Ted Lasso. I think the best films we've watched in the last year have been Pixar-type films, you know, and animated ones. Have been fantastic. So, yeah, good telly. I don't really watch too much. I watch too much sport. I like the Formula One, so I watched that yesterday, and I like the football. So yeah, not much really on the telly.
Yeah, who do you support? I did ask you last time.
I can't tell you because it'll make me instantly less popular.
I'm a Luton Town supporter, if that helps.
It doesn't at all. It's one of the Manchester clubs, and not the good one at the moment.
Okay. You could be a Luton Town supporter, it could be worse, so
yes, it could be. Yeah
that's a challenge in itself.
I think Luton Town are more socially acceptable actually than my team, so probably be better.
We're just less known. No one knows about us because we're rubbish, so well, we're in the championship, but you know, just after being relegated.
Yeah.
So you're publishing, writing, editing, and then what are you doing after all that? What's coming after that?
What you mean today or in general?
In general.
I don't know really. I mean, I can't. Obviously, now it's the job. Writing is a strange occupation in one sense. Is you're never finished. You know, I mentioned this week I'm writing, editing, and launching 3 different books, and that won't ever change. You know, once the first one's launched, you still keep on doing bits and bobs to push that for obvious reasons, and then the second one, obviously, the edit phase will come to an end, and then I will be editing the 3rd, and I'll be writing the 4th. So that it's a constant. You're never finished. You're never at the point where you think, right. So as to when to take some time off, again, another annoying habit from, I know the wife will point out, you don't really have, there's never a time you think, right, I can take a week off here or 2 weeks off here. So as for planning beyond that, I really don't know. I mean, if I'm interested in writing other things. I've mentioned kids' books, but also potential for sitcoms and things like that, specifically for telly. So I might look into that at some point. But the most important thing for me is to establish myself still as a thriller, a writer of thrillers, enough to be able to continue to do it full time. I'm still full of stories, full of something. So I'll be writing them down for a good few years to come, I think.
Awesome. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you, unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you that you want to tell us about.
No, I don't think so. Again, thanks very much for the lovely words about the new book and for the opportunity to talk about it. I managed to do it this time. Last time we spoke, I went off on all sorts of tangents. I mean, we've still talked about spiders and all sorts of things this time around, but it's been a bit more relevant. But no, thanks very much for your time. And your support of all the authors. I'm sure we all appreciate it. I know you don't have to do it. It's something you do in your own time, out of the goodness of your own heart. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. And you just want to tell everyone where they can find out where you are and where they can find your books.
Yes, I nearly forgot that, didn't I?
So did I, actually.
I have a website, which is writercharliegallagher.com, and all the books are on there. The new one is available through good bookshops. I hate to say them, but I'll say it anyway. So your Waterstones, you can either find it or order it in there. It might get some supermarket shelf space, and you might see it. But of course, there's the standard Amazon if you want to order the book, and there it's 99 pence as a download from launch. So it's the cheapest place by far, and potentially the best in that sense. But if you want the actual physical book and it is beautiful, then yeah, any of those outlets will gladly send it to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely job.